The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to 5 and 15, a webinar series from Charleston, Norway, where we promise to give you 5 interesting, useful, maybe even insightful ideas that you can use in your work across the food system and marketing, brand building, all within the constraints of a 15-minute webinar, because we know you are busy. Today's topic, a hot one: consumers and clean food labels. We just commissioned some research. It's third party, Maeve Webster, Menu Matters, collaborating with Confidential Consumer, a study across 500 Americans, perceptions on clean labels in food. I think there's going to be some information you want here. Pretty evenly distributed, a few more women across the country, slightly younger age skew. My name is Mark Gale, CEO of Charleston Orwig. If you have a question, you can reach out to me, mark.g@charlestonorwig.com. We are 100% employee-owned ESOP. Our focus: branding, protecting brands, communication, strategic marketing and communications across the food system. End of commercial. I promise I will send you the materials here. You can also go to our State of the Plate blog, where we will be publishing more detail on this research, as well as with the Q&A. So if you can't get it all here, we'll get the information to you, but we will not bug you. Send us a question. Use that chat pane within the webinar structure here. Send us a question. First 3 get a free book. This is a really good book. I read it last year. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. You think of it as this big, profitable, iconic company. Well, Microsoft was in a bad state 3 or 4 years ago. This is the story of how they did a pivot to, in a way, reinvent themselves and their profit centers. Really an interesting book. Lessons in it for every kind of organization on how to continue to remain viable. Clean, clean, cleaner. Lots of headlines on clean label. We won't belabor them. Food companies on board, these and many others, are talking about clean label. That's part of also what's driving this. They're helping to create demand for clean label. Let's get right into the study. These are the takeaways. We'll go into a little bit more detail on each. I will then go back to these, and then we'll take a few of your questions at the very end. America divided. We have a contingent that purchases clean label. Some don't even know what it is. Surprising one: men. Often women drive these categories. Perception by age surprising. Not only millennials. Purchase drivers. Health leads the pack. But what makes that up? Responsibility for clean label. People say brands. America says brands, but also government. My guess is, as a brand, as a producer, as a rancher, as a food processor, you'd rather not have government telling you what you can put on your product. America divided. Point number 1. We have 41% who say they purchase clean label, 48% unaware. You might say, how could that be? I'll tell you how it could be. Other research that we've commissioned, and we do this from time to time, says that committed consumers, those who care about food, what's in their food, are very committed. So if they care about antibiotics, they also care about GMO and lots of other attributes. So this growing population of committed consumers is also reflective of those kinds who want clean label. It's a growing percentage, by the way. A little bit of breakdown. Almost half who purchase regularly clean label under the age of 35. But when we go to older than 55, 30% say that they are purchasing clean label regularly. And some of the reasons cross all age ranges. So why should you care about this first point? Population percentage looking for clean, likely to grow. Not an old thing, a young thing, but an informed consumer thing. Understandable ingredients, we'll come to that. Big drivers. High interest, men. Kind of surprising. That guy who looks like he just came from the health club on the right there, kind of surprising, because women often drive these categories. Women in America still purchase more at the grocery store than men. But 49%, basically half of American men, say they are at least somewhat interested in clean label. Not so much for women, curiously enough. And then when we go not interested at all, women lead the pack with not interested at all. Intuitively, this isn't what you think, but that's why we survey with a representative sample the entire nation. Now, let's look a little bit deeper at this. When we ask, do you believe clean labels? Only about 29% of Americans say they do. Either it's not sure or unbelievable. Remember that 29% because it's going to come back in just a moment. We're going to talk about it again related to another survey that Charleston Orwig did with Menu Matters and Confidential Consumer last year. Traditionally, why should you care? Women are the drivers? Not so simple. Think about those men. Tremendous opportunity. We have people who are skeptical of clean label, but they're still interested. Opportunity there. Reinforces communicating the benefits of clean label and clarity on those labels to gain trust. Point number 3, another one that might surprise you. Many claims ring true with 55 and older. That couple there on the right, representative of people who do another thing. You can look up for yourself the secondary research that shows functional foods. Easy to see the correlation there between clean label, foods that make me sleep better, recover better from a workout, feel better, concentrate better. This group also has, side note, high interest in functional foods. As to clean labels, interesting statistic. We saw just a moment ago that younger people are right now buying more clean label. If you look at who says they intend to buy more clean label, 65 and older, 50% versus under 65, 38%. Now that 38% is still a meaningful number. People saying, I want more clean label. But statistically, quite valid number, 65 and older buying more clean label. Pretty interesting fact. Now, and I just want to reinforce, I'm going to send you these slides, so don't worry if you can't sort through all of this. You can sort through all of it on your own time or send me a question, mark.g@charlestonorwig.com. 55 and older continues to track with this, 65 and older, in terms of statements that you agree with related to it. Any ingredient with a scientific name, suspect, pointing to clean label, 55 and older here. I'm buying clean more than ever, 50%. I don't trust ingredients I don't recognize, 51% for this older audience. So it's a very viable audience. When I spoke about other research we had done relates to this, we did food label research and food label claim research, 2 studies last year. 63% of Americans, all ages, say labels are extremely important. 71% want nutrition information. 29%, only 29%, say that food companies are doing a good job of providing that. Correlates with that 29% who say they believe those claims on clean label completely. So I always like it when one study reinforces another study. It just adds to me, in my mind, the validity of that finding. Why do you want to care about this? Millennials are not the only target. Don't we hear that so much? Millennials, millennials, millennials. Well, it turns out millennials aren't the only target. Audience is older too. Older consumers shopping for health. And by the way, they have money to spend and they're caring about functional foods. Food labels, we see 2 years in a row, studies need improvement. Purchase drivers, health leads the pack. And you might say, of course, me and my family, health. About half of America. What are the concerns? Artificial ingredients, processed foods, something I don't recognize. Significant percentages, not a majority of Americans, got it, but significant percentage, and we know this is growing. Remember that 49% for health, because that's going to relate to another statistic in just a moment. Healthy eating is why you should care. Healthy eating is a fundamental trend, not a fad. Paleo, for example, if you look at the numbers, is starting to wane. Healthy eating, not. Ingredients, recognized. People around here at Charleston Norway might be sick of me saying, people care what the cow ate that made the milk, that made the yogurt that's in their breakfast parfait. They do. Here's an interesting little wrinkle for you to consider. 35 and under, those who are purchasing the most clean label right now, also see environment as a top driver for clean label. Not just what it does for my body, but what the impact is on the environment. So that's something you might want to consider. Number 5, who's got responsibility for clean label? Well, turns out America says, number 1, food companies, number 2, government. If you drop down to the second, the slightly lighter green bar there, you can see it's neck and neck, really, for a large amount of responsibility. But then go over the next 2, even though complete responsibility is a little bit smaller for farmers and agriculture and hospital cafeterias. If you drop down on those green bars and really go all the way across this chart, you can see that America says there is a lot of responsibility for clean label, and what they're really saying, clean food, that's what it represents, as they define it, and I'm not making a judgment on it. America is saying that that responsibility crosses the entire food system. In all of these, a large percentage saying it crosses the food system. Why we should care about that? Well, crosses the food system. There is a danger that the food system, we're in the business of perception here at Charleston Norway, brands, protecting brands, building brands. Food system, so I say we could lose control of the conversation. Don't want to do that. Want to be proactive, not to lose control of that conversation. And think about this. This is my conclusion. In such a divisive time, it may be easy for legislators of both parties to support clean food. We need government. I don't want them messing with our business, your business, any more than we need to. A bonus. Today, it's not 5 and 15, it's 6 and 15, because you're probably interested in what types of food do people say are clean or should be clean. Frozen food, well, here I'll click. It's really not too surprising. And you could say, well, that's only about 1/3 of America, a little bit more than 1/3 of America. Yeah, that's a lot though, and that's growing. But take a look at the bottom one. Baby foods nicely correlates with me and my family. Going back to individual health is a concern that consumers have. And I'm going to send you this slide as well. So our takeaways, divided. Those committed to clean label are those consumers we see committed to other aspects. And those who are unaware. Men, surprising interest here. Perception by age, a lot of opportunity with 55 and older and even 65 and older. Purchase drivers, people want to be healthy. Makes sense to us, doesn't it? Responsibility for clean, brands and government, really everybody. So with that, we're at the end of our portion of 5 and 15 related to the research. A couple questions that are coming in here. Did you gather data on education level of survey respondents? We did not gather information on that, but we do have other demographic information. I can tell you it skews slightly younger, pretty heavy in that 20s to 40s, and it is across America, just a few more women than men. Are there any clean labels that are actually regulated by the FDA, USDA, or any regulatory body? Food labeling, as many of you know, is regulated. You can't just say everything there. So clean label, depending upon what those claims are and how much you get into nutrition or claims, would depend on that. What you really need to do is get an attorney who specifically works on labeling issues, and we worked with companies who have worked with those to have that approval. It's not really something you can do on your own. You need to get approval and have somebody work with you. Some other questions that came in, and here's another one. Do you have data on Gen Z digital native? Yeah, actually, we do have a breakout on what various audiences think, and I know from Susan here, we have Who You Are, who sent this question, and I can look at I can look at a breakout on that and send you some information on how that. I would just caution, as you start to break down finer and finer and finer, the statistical strength lessens. But yeah, we have some information on that. Other questions we have. Do older consumers really shop most for clean label? Can you elaborate? Go back to that statistic. Right now, most 35 and under, those who say they intend to buy more, 65 and older. And I would stress that this tracks very well with those we see looking for functional foods. Well, with that, everybody, we're actually at 16 minutes. Apologize for going a minute over. We have a number of questions. I'm going to format all this and send it out to you. Hope this was interesting, useful. Watch for the next 5 and 15. And for now, thank you so much. I'm Mark Gale, CEO at Charleston Orwig. Thanks so much for joining us for today's 5 and 15, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye for now.